This is Screendivers. On this week's episode, we are covering Krampus, a film released in 2015. The movie runs for 98 minutes, phenomenal running time. Every movie should be no more than 90 minutes, in my opinion. It is a co-production between the United States and New Zealand. Features the music of Douglas Pipes, worth mentioning because this movie is a great score, which we are going to discuss later. And it's directed by Michael Dougherty. If you're a horror fan, you know him because he's the director of Trick or Treat. And it's a classic. It's written by Todd Casey, Michael Dougherty, and Zach Shields, and it featured a stellar cast featuring Adam Scott, Toni Colette, David Cockner, Alison Tolman, Conchata Farrell, MJ Anthony, Stefania Lavie, and Krista Stadler. The cinematography is by Jules O'Loughlin, and it's edited by John Axelrod. How are you, Steve?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. How are you, Ricky?
I'm good.
Holy shit, Steve. What happened to Ricky?
That's not Ricky. Who? Michelle? What are you doing here?
So this is our Christmas month. We invited Michelle, one of our fearless companions from the Friends of Our Weekly camp. What is Friends of Our Weekly? Well, it's a VIP circle for another phenomenal podcast that if you're not listening to, you should be listening to that. In fact, don't listen to this, go listen to that. We're talking about Horror Weekly. If you support the podcast, you get to be a part of the VIP circle called Friends of Our Weekly, and Michelle is another member of that circle. She's opinionated to the point that we thought, let's have her on the show every once in a while, because she's a handful in a good way. This month was our Christmas month, and we had already a few picks. I had horror comedy. I had Trapped in Paradise. Steve, What did you pick?
Oh my God, that was last week, and we recorded it. And my brain
you don't remember what you picked?
You guys did Batman Returns.
What is wrong with you?
Batman Returns.
Yes, that was your Christmas action pick. I'm not editing this, man. This stays in the show.
I know, it stays in.
Yeah, it stays in.
It's Christmas. Everything's been manic.
Yeah, okay, everything's allowed. That's fine. And this was Michelle's pick. And the theme was Christmas horror. Now, because this is Ricky's job, Michelle, what's this movie about?
This movie it's about a boy named Max Engel who is trying to hold on to the Christmas spirit, even though everyone around him seems to have lost it. And the extended family members are coming to his house to celebrate Christmas. And it's the kind of family everybody has, where you don't really have a lot in common. You don't really like them, and you're straining to, get along. And after an argument at dinner, Max finally, has had enough of all of it, and he tears up a letter that he has written to Santa, and when that unleashes, Krampus and brings him and this blizzard to the town, and he lays siege to everyone.
That is it. Yeah,
absolutely. And 100%. I gotta tell you, I was a bit apprehensive about this because I watched this movie with under the recommendation of a couple of friends of ours, Nick and Consuelo. I don't know if we mentioned them before in the show.
I think we have, way back. Long-standing
friends of ours, and they are horror heads. Like, they go to Fright Fest every year, whatever. And I remember in 2016, they were like, you need to watch this. We need to watch Krampus. And I never realized that my friend Consuelo has something that could be akin to a fetish. Because now, every year, they go to Vienna. Is it Vienna where Krampus not? They go to...
It could be Salzburg.
Austria.
Salzburg. Yeah, but it's an Austrian thing, right? So they go to... Is it Salzburg, Michelle? Krampusnacht? Did I say it correctly? You've got some German blood.
Krampusnacht is correct.
Well, they kind of roll the R, which I'm not... I don't have... Yeah, I can't roll my R's, so they... so it's more like the rolling R Krampus.
You need to... Krampus.
Yeah.
Krampus.
my sister lived in Germany for 11 years, and she didn't know how to roll her R's either, so she was never really able. She's fluent in German, but you can always tell she's American.
What's going on?
Yeah, like you could always tell she was American because she couldn't quite get that, couldn't quite get that pronunciation.
Look, this is an American take on I don't want to call it beloved, but it's a folktale. It's an Austrian folktale, and apparently, Krampus is the shadow of Saint Nick, right? Of Saint Nicholas.
Yeah, but that's the idea. But it predates.
What is it?
Okay, so
because Michelle's
Krampus...
making noises as well, like I've done my research. You're talking shit. What is it? Tell me.
Krampus predates the Saint Nick mythology. That's it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. That's kind of what I read too. That it seems to have like Norse origins. That it's like he's like the son of hell or something like that, and it was part of winter solstice.
Look, I think I sent you guys a picture. I collect board games, modern board games, and lately I was hunting down for. All right, let me give you some context. There's a series of board games called Horrified, and the latest iteration. Now I think the license for the IP for these games, which are great. It's a cooperative experience akin to Pandemic, if you ever played Pandemic, and it's the latest entry is called World of Monsters. And Ravensburger, which is the publisher globally, in order to promote the latest entry in this franchise, if you pre-ordered the game, you would get an expansion for it, and the expansion was Krampus.
Nice.
Now, there was an uproar for some weird people online about Saint Nicholas being depicted as black. I looked, and apparently there's recorded history attesting to the fact that Saint Nicholas originally was dark-skinned.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to go on this board, on this message board, and go, the problem's with you, buddy. Because he was like, well, frankly, I find it offensive that Santa is black. It's like, it's not Santa, it's Saint Nicholas, and you're a fucking racist prick. How about that? What does it matter? It's like, well, you think Jesus was white? That's another thing as well, but we're not going to go there. All right?
Yeah.
Not many white people in the Middle East. That's the reality of things. But anyway, going back to what this movie is about, I forgot how entertaining this was.
Yeah.
Because I was a little bit, after watching it in 2016 with Consuelo Nick that I mentioned earlier, I was like, I don't know if this requires another viewing. And I rewatched it today, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. The pace is furiously.
It's great. It's really quick. You can watch it. I mean, both myself and Mary watch it pretty much every single Christmas.
Like a Christmas tradition.
Yeah.
What about you, Michelle?
Me. Well, I didn't see it in the theater because it's PG-13 horror, it's gonna be dumb. And of course it's my dad who said, this movie's great, you gotta see it. And it's been a family staple since. It is a yearly watch for sure. The director said he intentionally wanted it to be a PG-13 horror movie because he wanted, it to be a family Christmas movie and to be this generation's Gremlins, where it's much scarier than what the rating indicates. And these monsters, like the toys and are really fucking scary.
Look, we are going to discuss. I mean, that's what we're here. But I couldn't stop drawing parallels today. I brought in my notes. There's homages paid to Puppet Master here, to Home Alone, to Gremlins, to Evil Dead. There's one scene in particular, Evil Dead 2, sorry. There's one scene in particular where David Cockner, which I adore, is one of those character actors that makes me die. He's super funny. And also quite sinister if he wants to be. I don't know if you've seen a movie with him called Cheap Thrills.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, guys, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Rectify
Oh, my
this,
God.
please.
No, I've seen it.
Yeah, but Michelle hasn't. It's good. So that's not Michelle. You need to watch it, and then it's a dark comedy, but real dark.
Very dark.
It's borderline horror thriller. But David Cockner is in the cast and is featured prominently throughout the movie. Cheap Thrills. Don't watch the trailer either. Walk in cold, because that's what I did. I walked in cold.
I won't.
It's great. But there's a scene with him whenever Howie Jr., the brat, it gets taken. All of a sudden he's with the shotgun and he wants to go out and he points the shotgun at Tom, which is Adam Scott's character. So he's like, that's it, I'm going out. And right after he goes out and the door closes behind him, there's a blizzard and he's shouting his son's name, and it reminded me of the sequence with the Hillbilly in Evil Dead 2 when he's looking for Bobby Joe. Yeah. She's outside going, Bobby Joe! Joe! It's the same. So it's got to be an homage. I don't think it's lifted, but it's an homage. I also didn't notice a bunch of stuff. Like, you guys have noticed that, what is it? Clumpy, Lumpy, and the three gingerbread men?
The gingerbread men, yeah.
Do you know who voiced those?
No.
It's Seth Green.
Yes.
Justin Roiland
from Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty, canceled. And I'm not sure that the third. I didn't know there was a third one, but I know those two.
I think it's Brian Burns. He's done some voiceover work, but he's probably brought in by Seth Green. It seems to me that these guys have worked together on Robot Chicken. I don't know if you remember the show.
Yeah.
I assume that Brian Burns is a member of that trio as well. Extremely funny, and you can hear Roiland and Seth Green. You can really hear them if you pay attention. Like, it's just a bunch of noises. There's no dialogue that they speak. It's three gingerbread men, literally.
And you've got to give a big thumbs up to Weta Digital, Weta, for the puppets. I mean, like, this is all.
Is that Peter Jackson's?
Yeah.
Oh.
So one of the key things why it was made in New Zealand was to stay close to Weta and to produce everything there. That entire Black Friday sale at the beginning was shot in one day in a mall in New Zealand.
I got to tell you something about the opening sequence of this movie.
That's so well done.
It's very good. And as I was watching it today, this was made in 2015, so it's a world that predates the popular usage, by the end user of when it comes down to AI, applying AI to videos. And I don't know why that entire opening sequence felt like one of those AI reels that you get on social media for whatever reason, because obviously it's topsy-turvy and it's shot in a way that makes everything look quirky and weird. But it's the opening of this movie is fucking phenomenal, man.
It's great.
Like, yeah, it shits on Christmas on every level, like as you should, technically. When it comes down to the fanfare of consumerism, that's
and it shows the fact that nobody in that entire scene
is having a good
being
time.
Nice. They're not being nice. They're all naughty.
Yeah,
that's the straightforward thing that we have to think about straight away. It's great.
No, it's a great opening sequence. Man, I didn't realize on the first viewing either. Michelle, did you know that Omi, which by the way, I thought it was the grandmother. No, that's Tom's mom, right?
That's Tom's mom.
Yeah.
The actress that plays Omi is actually like a veteran Austrian actress.
Yeah. When I looked up her
Christine
on
Stadler?
IMDb, there were
Stadler?
a whole bunch of movies and television shows that in German.
She's done a ton of German TV, popular German TV, so she must be well known in Germany and Austria. I'm pretty sure, for sure. There's little bits as well that I didn't realize on the first viewing that are fucking hilarious. One of them is Howie's character, played by Cockner. Whenever the Hummer is destroyed, he goes, Lucinda! No! So he's named the fucking car. It's ridiculous. Toni Colette as well. Man, this movie had a total budget of, I think, $6 million.
It's
something like
cheap.
that.
And the fact
16,
that...
sorry, 16? Yeah, and it grossed, when it opened, like $62 million. So it's a success.
It's a big
purely,
success.
possibly solely on the basis of the fact that this is a beloved celebration in an entire country. So even if it was an American take on it, people went to see it. You get guaranteed. And very clever move, it was released on December 4th. And Krampus Nacht is on December 5th. So I think that was a nice touch. Whoever did this did it correctly.
Yeah, so they did actually go through a process of trying to release it in November. and they postponed it to the 4th to coincide.
Whoever did that,
yeah, that is
should
perfect.
keep their job because they know what they're doing.
Yeah,
absolutely,
exactly,
100%, absolutely. Like,
smash that bell.
I read an article too that it's had a real resurgence on streaming. That's that's great too. That people that missed it in the theater, like now, 10 almost 10 years later, people are discovering it on.
Absolutely,
I think it's on
like
HBO.
Steve said, there's probably an entire generation that has adopted this as their comfort Christmas movie as well, which is it's great. It's great. It will stand the test of time for sure. Almost 10 years have passed, so I was thoroughly entertained today. And as I'm watching it, I'm looking at this kid and I'm thinking, holy shit, I seen this kid recently, but he's 9 years older. Should I look? I was reaching for my phone and I went, no, let me think. And then all of a sudden I almost scared the shit out of Anna. It was next to me. I went, aha! I know where I've seen this kid. And she goes, okay, where did you see this kid? MJ Anthony, which is the kid that plays Max, he plays the main character, the protagonist, in a show that I think people haven't discovered yet, and it's a damn shame. First of all, Bruce Campbell is in the show in question. You get the female actor, the actress that plays the mother or the matriarch in... I know this name.
I know what you're going to say.
Modern Family. It's
in Modern Family.
Julie Bowen.
Yeah, Julie Bowen. And the show in question is Hysteria.
Which is on Peacock.
Yeah, and it's quite good.
Fantastic.
Man.
I've only watched the first 2 episodes so far, so it's got that horror vibe.
Yeah, it's a take on the mass hysteria of stuff like satanic panic in a little town. Yeah. Michelle, are you watching the show?
No, I've been waiting to watch it with my dad because with Bruce Campbell, and so we'll get on top of that.
It goes. There's a bit of a slump mid-season, but the show is very good. It's good. It's entertaining. It's funny, and it's it's something. So for our listeners as well, go and look for the show. It's called Hysteria. The other actor that stood out here, obviously, Toni Colette. I mean, I gotta say, out of all Australian actors, she never slips, man. Her accent. I mean, at least I can't hear it. I couldn't hear it.
I couldn't hear
her American accent is flawless, dude.
Absolutely flawless.
Is it? Michelle is from the States. She can tell us. To us, it's flawless, but is it?
I was actually impressed by the kids because other than MJ Anthony, the kids are all New Zealand. They're all from New Zealand. Yeah,
really?
all the kids except for they're all from New Zealand. So, and I couldn't. I often wondered if that was why Howie Jr. never talked, because I wondered if he just couldn't master the American accent, so they just had him. So they just didn't give him any speaking lines because he just couldn't do it. But yeah, that's. I mean, yes, of course, Toni Colette did a great job, but I was mostly impressed with the fact that you can't tell the kids are from New Zealand.
I gotta say, it's worth staying on the cast here a little bit because I look, as formulaic as a piece of shit of a show it was, and I'm about to mention 2.5 Men. Conchata Farrell, who plays Auntie Dorothy in this, she played Bertha in the show. She was a regular in the show. We lost her, by the way. I keep saying she was because we lost her last year, I think.
2020. Yeah, it's
2020 she died.
Yeah.
Has it been that long? Time flies.
1943 to 2020.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. She's always, larger than life. I mean, she kills 2 baddies in this one with a shotgun, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And also she utters one of the best lines in this, which I'm going to incorporate into my Christmas lexicon. And it's a little sugar, a little spice. Makes everything nice. You remember that? When she's putting the schnapps in the
schnapps. The peppermint schnapps is perfect.
Teaching the kids how to make peppermint schnapps, and then giving her drink to Howie Jr. That's how I got my. That's how I got my first alcohol.
The script of this movie, it's not a masterclass in dialogue or storytelling, but it's a pretty straightforward story, and it's a Christmas movie, and it works, and it's super entertaining. When it came down to the bare bones of the narrative, I really like how they revealed some of the family connections among these people, because we get to know them real fast. And obviously there's no time for character development, but when she's introduced, you'll think, is this their mother? And why is she calling her Dorothy? And then it's revealed later, there's the implication that Aunt Dorothy raised both of them because something happened to their mother. But this is not, it's given to you without hand-holding. And I actually quite like that, because a movie like this will over-explain fucking everything. And in fact, there are a couple of sequences in which this happens. At the end of the day, don't forget that this is fish in a barrel. Yeah? Like, there's a blizzard, we're stuck here together. You know, this is a trope that was used in anything as great as The Shining, from anything as timeless as Night of the Living Dead, even The Boarding of the Windows. It's a trope. There's nothing original about that. But it works. It really does. And some of the tension in some of the sequences really, really, really works as well.
Yeah.
It manages to be funny as much as it manages to be unsettling without blood.
I have to say, Adam Scott does really good job of bringing the kind of comedy to the horror.
Yeah, no, he does. Him and Cockner really fucking
play
really
off each other very well.
I thought Aunt Dorothy was the funniest one.
Yeah,
She just always had a perfectly timed comment to what was going on, and
because don't forget she was on 2.5 Men for 9 seasons, I think. You remember who she played, right? She played Charlie Sheen's housemaid.
Mother. No.
She's the maid.
Don't know anything. I know very little about that show
my biggest memory from Conchata is Edward Scissorhands, another Christmas movie.
Was she in that as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah, she was one of the neighbors, one of the gossipy neighbors.
Gossy neighbors. Yeah.
I need to revisit that. It's been years now. It's been years. Yeah. Before recording today, I did have a conversation with Michelle behind the scenes, and I said, I'm gonna go on and on and on about Adam Scott. I mean, most people know Adam Scott because of Parks and Rec. That launched him into the zeitgeist and into stardom.
That's one of my favorite shows of all time.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, but also it's the beginning of him being typecasted.
Yeah,
I think, because he plays the role of the kind of almost milquetoast nice guy really well. However, I remember him, and this is when I went, holy shit, this guy's funny, and he doesn't have to do much on screen to be funny. He was basically the lead in a show called Party Down. And if you have not seen Party Down, it was about...
I've seen it.
It was about a catering company. They did a revival recently, but the first 2 seasons are fucking gold. I mean, he gets to bounce off Martin Starr. He gets to bounce off Jane Lynch. There's a phenomenal female comedian. And Michelle, do you remember the name of the actress that played a young Kathy Bates in, the Misery?
Lizzie Kaplan? Lizzie Kaplan?
Yes, Lizzie Kaplan's in that show as well. And it's basically about a catering company. They're all struggling actors, and they're doing this job to make ends meet until they get their big break. It's called Party Down, and it's fucking hilarious. I couldn't recommend it any more than I am right now. Michelle, do you agree?
Yes.
Steve, get on it.
It's good.
You need to watch it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's good.
Absolute gold, timeless. It's really well written.
This film is part of a series and interconnected.
Well, with this being the first movie.
But, in the director's commentary for this movie, he actually states it's part of the same universe.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Oh, the monster part of the Monsterverse?
Yeah, his little Monsterverse. They're all part of his Michael Dougherty connected universe. He did a couple of shorts as well for Trick or Treat, Father's Day, Trick or Treat. Oh my God, I can't remember the other one.
How many tabs have you got open, Steve? How many tabs
I've got 4 tabs. What? I'm just trying to get to...
Just ask. It's fine.
So,
it's fine.
Trick or Treat Making Friends, Trick or Treat, and then Krampus, which was the next movie off the end of this one. So, I believe he did something called Dead Time Stories, which is also connected.
Well, look, I can tell you that, I mean, I'm not blaming him, but he do the last Godzilla vs. King Kong or whatever, the massive movie blockbuster or something lately?
Yeah, but...
What was it called? King of Monsters or something?
Yeah. Look at
one tabs.
Hang on. Godzilla, King of Monsters.
King of Monsters and Godzilla.
And
that's a big paycheck.
Godzilla vs. Kong.
No, why not? Why not?
Well, no, I'm saying He's story. So he's done the stories. Yeah. But he also did...
he directed the latest one. He's wrote one of them.
Screenplay.
Yeah.
He wrote,
look further down the tab. Look.
He wrote Godzilla vs. Kong, or it says story for Godzilla vs. Kong, screenplay and story Godzilla King of Monsters.
And which is the one that he directed?
He directed Godzilla King of Monsters.
There you go.
I did not realize that.
Yeah.
I did not
realize
that.
I want to watch it just solely on the premise of this one. As much as how the fuck are you going to watch another Godzilla movie after Godzilla -1? Unless you're a child, how are you going to enjoy another Godzilla movie that has that emotional and dramatic kind of pathos layer over it?
You can't. You really can't.
No, but if you want to sell toys,
make some cash on the side.
Yeah.
But then again, he did write the screenplay for X-Men 2 and also Superman Returns. Nice. Easy.
Now, Michelle, you've got notes about this. There is an actress in this that is widely underused. The actor in question is Alison Tolman. Mm-hmm. Last time I remember seeing her in something prominent, it was something, I think it was the first season of the episodic version, the episodic drama for Fargo, the adaptation for television. Do you remember from something else?
I remember from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But that's because I'm... And the Castle Rock TV series.
Yeah.
She was in Castle Rock as well. She does
fantastic.
the Minnesota accent quite well.
Yeah.
I mean, again, people from Minnesota might not think so, but I think so. But what the fuck do I know? Anyway, she was a little bit underused because she's got comedic prowess. So I really like the subtlety of some sequences, and they usually hand it to Toni Colette's performance. They shine through her performance.
There's also a lot of love between the two of them later on as well. You can see that there is a sisterly bond. So in that sense.
But whenever there's a subtle emotion to be conveyed, it seems that they gave that job when it comes down to the entire cast to Toni Collette, because she does that just with her eyes. And I'll give you an example. There's a bit right after they're trying to pull Howie Jr. out of the...
Oh, God.
That entire sequence, man, with Krampus fishing with a gingerbread man attached to a hook.
Fantastic.
Even the way that kid was shot reminded me of the fat kid in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah. That's yes, 100%.
They did that intentionally. They did that intentionally.
And wasn't Bavarian or German as well?
Augustus, I can't remember the boy's last name, but yeah.
Gloop. Augustus Gloop.
Augustus Gloop. Yeah. But anyway, after that sequence, you can see that they're trying, all of a sudden, Howard, before he does his entire thing, I'm going out with the shotgun, machismo bullshit, whatever, and he's decided he's going to go out in the blizzard. He's accusing Omi of talking shit. It's like, enough of this folklore bullshit. Do you believe this bullshit story? And you can see the camera turns to Toni Collette's eyes. She's just seen something that basically has rocked their entire sense of reality, because she had a fucking coming to life gingerbread man shouting at her and it's something that was meant to be funny, but she goes from, okay, this is kind of comedic, to I'm fucking traumatized, and I don't know what's real anymore. And it's the first time that you see her act that, because she doesn't say a word. She's just sitting against this piece of furniture with people towering over her, trying to get a word out of her, and she's not saying anything because she's in shock. And she's in shock because she's been traumatized by a gingerbread man that came to life. If you read this is not something out of a horror movie. This is something out of an animated film. Yeah. And in this one, it's fucking... It just straddles that line, that threshold between fucking funny and terrifying. She does that very well. And then remind me of this point that I'm making when we discuss the end of this movie.
I also want to just mention the simple fact that dramatic pause where Howie Jr. takes a bite of a gingerbread man for the first time. And then it switches. It is so perfect.
It is.
Just enough to just keep you going, what the fuck's going to happen? Sorry to swear, but yeah.
No, that's all right. You just apologize for swearing. This is
I'm not drinking.
Is a toilet. What are you talking about? We are filthy, man.
We are.
Michelle, anything you want to lead with? Come on, all this research. Tell us why you picked this movie. Tell us if you remember the first time you watched this movie. Talk. Tell us everything.
I was nervous when you asked me to pick the Christmas horror movie, because I was like, what if they think Krampus is stupid?
Can I tell you something? You must be a clairvoyant, because that's the first thing I thought of. When you told me, I went, fuck this. Why did she pick Krampus? I'm going to have to let her. And until I rewatched it today. It felt like a chore, man. I walked into watching this movie today thinking, oh, man. But then I was like, oh, shit. I need to apologize. She was right. Yeah,
the more, of course, because when you asked me, Krampus was the first movie that popped into my head, because it's our new family tradition Christmas movie. And I thought, like, if you had asked George to do this, George probably would have picked Black Christmas or something. And I really didn't want to pick like a downer horror movie or one like Silent Night, Deadly Night, where it's, some kid saw Santa, screwing his mom, and then, it causes them to,
that's great. And
I think that Krampus is deceptive. Like you think it's going to be, and maybe it's because of the rating, but that you think it's going to be a bad movie, and it's not. Like it's a very entertaining. Like, to me, it's really an extremely entertaining film, and the monsters are legitimately scary. Like, that Jack in the Box is really a great monster, and it's great to like take these kind of kids' toys, or like gingerbread men that you don't associate at all with evilness, and turning and that angel that's like this dark, creepy angel.
The creature design is outstanding in this. I'm glad that Steve brought up Weta, because obviously there's a lot of mastery going into it. Yeah, it's mostly practical effects as well. There's very little CGI in this. And I gotta say, one of the things that stood out, I did mention pretty much everyone whenever we went. It's like, why isn't the spewing all these facts about who made this movie? Well, it's a team effort, and you can see it. I gotta say, the editing, and the editing can make or break a movie. I don't think editors get praised enough. And this one is phenomenal. There's some transitions that are so simple and yet so effective. And I'll give you an example. Whenever I can't remember the name of the daughter, the teenager. Oh, the name of the character.
Beth.
Beth. Beth is the first one that has a running with Krampus. She's the first one to leave the house to go and see her, prom night boyfriend. Because we know that they had whenever they go to his house, there's a prom night photo, right? So that it's basically establishing where they are, because otherwise you wouldn't know. And before this happens, before they go on the search for her, her entire brush with Krampus is pretty fucking terrifying. She ends up in hiding under and there's a lot of mastery into not showing the creature in full until the 75-minute mark, dude. You don't see Krampus in full. You don't see his face. And that should be a rule, by the way.
It's less is more.
Less is more. And the thing is, like, I actually, I stopped the movie today to see, wait a second, when is it the first time that we see his face? Because we see it around, I think, 76-minute mark. This is a 90-minute movie, if you take the credits out. And that's how it should be done, because it's your third act, dude. Yeah. It contributes to adding on to the hardest magic trick to pull whenever you're making a movie, which is landing this fucking plane. It's the third act is the most difficult thing to do. So I thought that was clever, at least. So I want to see more from him. I mean, last time I heard from anything about Michael Dougherty, I was watching one of those Talking Heads shows that are on Shudder, like the top 100 movies or whatever, and he's always very entertaining. Michelle, have you seen him discussing something? He's on any of those documentaries on Shudder, he shows up, Michael Dougherty. And he's fucking royalty. Anyone that goes to Fright Fest has Trick or Treat, at least in their top 10. Yeah. So the guy's made what? 2-3 features? 4 features? Yeah, pretty much.
I think he's got next on his boat is Trick or Treat 2, isn't it?
But the thing is, he's reached a level of notoriety and status that is, it's a milestone to do it with just a small body of work. And by small, I don't mean, irrelevant or not relevant enough. I mean, just the number of movies he's made, full features. Yeah. So that's and he seems very humble as well. So I quite like him. Any favorite sequences that you guys have? Any favorite scene that you really enjoyed in this one?
The kitchen with David Koechner and the gingerbread men, where he's fighting off the gingerbread men. I find that's probably that I think is the most entertaining part. Is
it gets saved by Rosie, the dog that he put down at the beginning of the movie, right?
Yeah, where she eats. Well, it's like, if you want to have an attack dog, why would you have a bulldog to? Why don't you have a German Shepherd or something like that if you're wanting a dog for protection?
They are strong dogs.
Yeah, but not one that you would associate with being an attack dog. If you had a bulldog
trying to hump your leg, it's fucking terrifying. It happened to me. And it was my fucking boss's dog as well. So I was just standing there going, and it was literally moving me around the room, dude, while he's trying to fuck my leg. It's super uncomfortable. But they're quite strong. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all muscle.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
You have to submit. You have to submit to a bulldog. I won one. They're ugly and cute at the same time.
Umba,
and,
you got
Steve, your favorite sequence?
I was just going to say, Umba, your favorite sequence, but mine has to be when they're chasing down in the attic, where they've got basically the angel, you've got the bear, you've got they're trying to capture, the robot, everything happening all at once. It's manic, and there's so much going on in that scene. There's about, I think there's 5 to 6 different set pieces in that one scene, all happening at the same time. And it's beautifully filmed. It feels cut to perfection. Because
it's also... Go on. Sorry.
It's the editing is so sharp on it, and it makes you feel like you're in that scene. And it does, chaotic.
And it's also, it's placed in... it's a good set piece for where we are in the movie as well.
Yeah.
There is a problem here. It's not really a problem, but it was a problem until I accepted the ending, because I perceived it in a different way and I had another layer. I'll tell you what I mean.
Okay.
First of all, we should praise the animators of whenever Omi is telling the story of what happened to her when she was a child, that entire stop motion sequence reminded me of Coraline. I don't know if you remember Coraline.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal story, and I love how she starts it as well. I think I wrote it down. First of all, I love the very ominous way in which she's advising the rest of the family on how to survive this with the very little. She knows a lot, but she doesn't let out too much at the beginning because she doesn't want to be called crazy, basically. It feels like she had to live with the burden of this knowledge all her life. And there's a moment in which she goes to her son, she goes, "Keep the fire hot." And she says it like fucking Werner Herzog, which is great. Yeah. But when she starts the story, she goes, "It started with the wind." And then the story starts. And it's perfect. It's like it feels, and she makes the movie feel like a fable.
Yes.
Which is what this is. It's a folk tale. It's a fable. She's an essential character in this. I'm actually going to obsess and look for some of her work from the beginning of her career.
I felt like that sequence was actually referring to World War II, or at least the end of World War II. And
it is directly after World War II, yeah.
Yeah, where the story is talking about how her village was in the aftermath of the war, and I felt like that was handled, making it into like a children's story. Like you could still tell that's what it was, but it wasn't too much. I
understand. It's alluded, because obviously they didn't want to take the movie in a different direction. There is, I think, I think I know where you're going with this because, it's a point of view that I never examined. There's a documentary, quite controversial, but there's heart. There's a lot of heart in it. So, Steve, I know you've seen it. Michelle, I don't know if you've seen it. There's a documentary on Arnold Schwarzenegger on Netflix. And I suggest you watch it. It's, you see another side of Arnie, and you also get a little bit of perspective about things that you never think of, because obviously Europe is still living with the specter of World War II, and how romanticized that war was on all sides, and what it put Europe through.
Yeah.
Regardless of the rise of, again, extremism now, when it comes down to far out crazy political ideas, it means that we've learned nothing. But the point of the matter is, there is a moment in which Arnie, in that documentary, very candidly speaks about how his father dealt with coming back from the war and the aftermath of the effect that it had on the entire country when it comes down to what they were promised, what they were, people turned to alcoholism, people would, argue with the spouse continuously because they would have PTSD. And this is back in the 40s, in which you didn't have there was no way to diagnose this, so the people that would suffer the most would be either a spouse or a child. And in this case, that's what I was thinking of whenever she tells the story. But I don't know, this movie, the first time I watched it, it washed over me like, Krampus, cookie crazy. But there's much more to it. Now, Ricky is not with us. However, I spoke with him this morning. And Steve, you don't know this because we had this conversation while I was trying to get you awake to do the other recording. Fair enough. Not your fault, mine. I had a conversation with Ricky, and he couldn't help it but giving me some of his perspective on this. And I could hear in his voice that he wishes he could have been with us today.
I know.
He's got shit to do tomorrow, so he couldn't. He's in Australia at the end of the day, and the time difference wouldn't allow for him to join us. But he mentioned something really, I didn't even pay attention to it. If you look at the junket for this movie, all of the promos available, usually for the home market as well, or the posters or whatever, there's always a reference to the snow globes on it. It kind of gives away the ending.
It gives away the ending straight away.
It does.
Yeah.
And Ricky pointed this out to me. I didn't fucking realize until he said it today. I was like, dude, we need to give you credit on the show. Even if it takes away from Michelle's research and what she was going to close this with.
That's okay. That's okay. I don't care.
Let's, look, we don't want to spoil the movie entirely for our listeners, but Michelle, this was your pick. And I want you to talk us through how you perceive the ending of this movie and what it means. But before you do that, there was a part of me that wished this movie faded to black at a different time, like 10 minutes earlier, prior than the actual ending. And if it did end that way, it would have been a completely different movie.
Well, you said you don't want me to spoil it, though. Because...
you're gonna spoil it. We're gonna talk about it.
Okay.
The ending that I went, it's cookie cutter, but it's not really. When you pay attention, it's not really. It's also quite unsettling. But the ending I would have gone for, it's much more dramatic, which is when Max is left completely alone, his family's been decimated, and he has the Krampus bubble, the teen bubble, and it fades to black. And you think, fuck, the movie's over. But that would have been much, much darker than... however, tell us about the actual ending of this movie. Because it didn't end where I wanted to end. So,
for me, I thought the ending was pretty straightforward. And it wasn't until I started doing research that I realized that it actually can be interpreted as having a happy ending instead of having... I just figured they were... it was kind of like a Groundhog Day thing where they're kind of stuck, because he was saying, I just want Christmas to be like it, I want Christmas to be like it used to be. And so Krampus actually grants his wish, but since Krampus is evil, he can't make it. He can't fulfill the wish in a happy way. So he fulfills the wish in, okay, you're stuck together for, on the Christmas day for the rest of, eternity,
which is fucking terrifying.
But
hell.
I guess other
hell.
people see it as that it's just like the wish is granted and Krampus is keeping an eye on them, that like the snow globe is actually his way of monitoring them afterwards, because since he opened the gift that was the bell, it's kind of the same way Omi was given the bell, that it's as a remembrance of, and they all, you can tell they're all kind of thinking about it, that they all kind of vaguely remember what has occurred to them. And
it's precursor. There's a moment before that one. And the moment that fascinated me on this viewing, because I didn't pick up on it last time, I wasn't really paying attention maybe. When Max wakes up and he goes to the living room, he's relieved because he's realized that he was just dreaming, okay? But then when the bubble comes out, he has the realization, the camera's on him, so we get his set of emotions. But then the camera pans across the room, and slowly you start seeing the rest of the family who was exactly in the same position. That's the scary part of it. That was the moment which, oh shit, this is... And it's not easy to do because there's not dialogue.
No.
They're all acting with their eyes, and it's a very subtle performance led by Toni Colette.
Yeah.
Because after we get Max's response, the first person of the family that starts reacting puzzled, and then she goes through a set of emotions. She does all of this just with her eyes. It's phenomenal. And then the rest of the cast tries to catch up with that. But what you get when you get the shot of the entire family, you get this moment of and it kind of ends before it's confirmed by them what they're feeling. You know, but the idea is that they were all on the same boat, exactly on the same boat. So I don't know. To me, that makes the movie much fucking darker.
Remember, Krampus only takes, he never gives.
Hey, that's a great slogan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
When they show the snow globes at the end, the director said that his house, they made his house, and some of the other crew members and things like that, like made their houses in some of the snow globes, and they're actually, the Bates Motel is actually in the house for the Bates Motel is actually one of the snow globes too. It's tough to catch, but it is. But if you know enough of remember what the house looks like, you'll see it. It's towards the very end. It's kind of front and center, now. But and actually when the blizzard starts, when they first show kind of the houses, the Amityville house is on one side of them, and the house from Christmas Vacation is on the other side. I couldn't pick up the Ferris Bueller house, and I guess the Halloween house is in there too.
In there as well.
But I couldn't find them when I was, when Beth's running around and stuff. I couldn't figure out which house was what.
Yeah,
Steve.
So it's not just. I believe there's other famous houses, including one from Home Alone, in there, isn't it? So
there would be. It would be. For sure.
So there's all these little hints at all the different horror houses.
I'm going to have to look for Nakatomi Plaza. I'm going to have to look for everything. No, I'm sure it's in there somewhere.
but all these kind of little in jokes. Especially Christmas movies.
There's during the credit sequence. There's a lot of Polaroids of family photos. Are they the crew, the cast and crew?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I liked that. I thought that was a nice touch.
It's generous, you know, and I think it gives like a visual. It's a visual way to pay respect, because these days, man, you get Marvel movies with just like 50 minutes of credits, and you are struggling. Like, we have friends that worked, Steve. We have friends that worked on special effects and whatever. It's impossible. There's like 1 million people working on these fucking monstrosities.
I've got one friend who worked on some huge practical effects for Marvel and Lucasfilm and stuff like that. And every single time we've sat through the movies, I've tried to try and find his name.
There's thousands of people listed. It's like a fucking memorial for the Vietnam War or something. Like, it's
crazy.
Really yeah. I don't know. Like, I understand that, they have massive budgets, but these people must get paid. It's a huge amount of cast and crew. Like, it's
an industry,
That's it. It's accountancy work for productions of this kind must be a fucking nightmare. even wage control, just to pay these people. It would just be a never-ending process. It's a nightmare. Just, I don't know. I would like to go back to a time in which you would have a more sizable, because you can actually connect and bond with these people. When you have 2,000 people working on a movie, you might as well be strangers. It's. But anyway.
Hey, and on that note, I'm just going to say a big shout out to Keith. He's a listener. So, hey, all right.
What did you say to Keith?
To Keith. This is your credit, but I can't. I can give to you because I can't usually see your name on the screen.
Okay, Keith. We would love it for you to support us on the Patreon that we're about to set up. Before doing that, you can just make a PayPal payment to Steve. It's fine. Just a direct payment. It doesn't support the show. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Michelle, you picked this movie. I think, we're getting to ratings here. What are you rating this? You know how to do this already. So tell us what you think about this movie.
I think I would give it 8 gingerbread men. I think 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 gingerbread men. I thought about this a lot, and like it does, like in my heart, because I love it. It's a kind of 10 in my heart, but it does have some flaws that I can't put it on the same level as something that, like Dead Alive or, where
8 out of 10 is a high score.
Because it is an extremely enjoyable movie. It's a movie that I've seen a million times. And when I was doing the research for this, there were so many things that I hadn't caught. It's a very, very good movie.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, so 8 gingerbread men. Well done. So you would definitely recommend this movie?
Oh, yes.
You would put...
Well, I don't know about that.
Niece and nieces to watch it.
I did risk you never asking me to do the podcast again by choosing this movie, because I really didn't know, but when you were first talking to me, because you were like, don't choose a movie that's too obscure and don't do this. And Ricky was like, pick whatever you want. Like, pick whatever you want.
Pick whatever you fucking want.
So I figured you guys, you trusted me enough to let me choose. So I felt like I had to go. Like,
don't get used to it.
So I felt like my gut was telling me that this was the movie to go with, and over all the things that I could have chosen. Rare exports if I wanted another kind of dark Santa movie with the folklore kind of aspect. Like I could have gone with something like that, or Black Christmas, or Gremlins, and my gut told me to go with this one.
I'm glad you picked this. Picked this. Steve.
Okay, this is a solid 8 again. This is a Christmas movie for me.
Holy shit, man.
8
out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason I say that is this has been on my Christmas list, quite literally, every single year for the last 5 years, I think, maybe 6 years. So every year we get to watch this, and it's like I can watch it with my eyes closed. I can just hear exactly what's going to happen, and I still watch it.
Nice one.
And I'm going to give it 8 burning Christmas presents under a fiery tree.
Nice one.
Nice.
Nice. I think Anna is a qualified fire marshal for a workplace. Whenever they're putting out the tree with that sequence with it, she goes, "Yeah, that's not true. You wouldn't be able to put out a fire that size with it." And I'm like, why are you bringing plausibility into this? Can we just watch this monster Christmas movie? Can we just... I don't want to hear about health and safety. Can we just...
Health and safety on set. Yeah, but...
Nice one.
The 8 burning Christmas presents under a tree, which
Very
is on
nice.
fire. Yeah,
Very
definitely.
nice. I was going to give this a 7 originally. Actually, even lower. But this morning's viewing was thoroughly enjoyable, and it highlighted that I can be a judgmental asshole, because at the end of the day, I know you know. That's why you're here. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm glad you picked this movie. It's now a 7.8, which is massive on my personal algorithm.
Yeah.
And I am also going to reveal to the world that doesn't give a shit because it's irrelevant to what I'm about to state publicly. This is now on heavy. It will be on heavy rotation for me for Christmas from now on.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm glad you picked it. And on that note, this was Umba.
This was Steve.
This is Ricky.